What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 15 of the Diego Colley Football Show. We got a fun week ahead of you. Full NFL slate, Thursday night football, fun college football slate. Huskies got a big game. We got Seahawks on Monday Night Football. And before we start the preview, just want to say that next week's first episode is going to be coming out on Tuesday, just so I can record it after the Seahawks game. Because I'd rather talk about the whole week, including the Seahawks game, instead of waiting until Thursday to talk about the game on Monday night. So, that out of the way, we'll start with Thursday Night Football. The Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Cincinnati to take on the Cincinnati Bengals in what I would say is a must-win for the Cincinnati Bengals. If the Bengals want to hold on to any sort of hope that they can be a perennial playoff team and hold on till Burrow gets back, it starts with winning this game. And I got to say, I like their chances in this one. They're getting 5.5 points at home, plus 5.5. Joe Flacco's second game in the system. He had a rough first week last week against Green Bay, but in that second half, they started to kind of score some points, put up 18 points. And I got to say, I think it's partially too because I just don't know how much I believe in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just don't necessarily see it yet. This is a 4-1 team. They've had their bye week, but 2-point win over the Jets in week 1, beat the Patriots by 7 in a game where the Patriots just lost themselves that game, turned the ball over 4 times, multiple turnovers in the red zone. Barely beat the Vikings in London, the game where the Vikings had a chance to come back. And in that Browns game, it's just like kind of like a sloppy game that they win 23-9, and the Browns offense looks pretty bad. And Rodgers doesn't make any mistakes, but it's not like popping off the screen. I just don't know that I think the Steelers are like a really, really good football team. I don't see them getting a 5-1. Picturing the Steelers team at 5-1 just feels, I just can't see it right now, to be honest. I don't think this is a true Mike Tomlin football team. And I think that the Bengals are going to, I don't know about turn a corner, but I think the Flacco, he showed last week he's going to get the ball to his ones. He's going to get the ball to his receivers and give them chances. Grades out as a 77 on PFF. That's pretty solid. Jamar Chase grades out as a 78. And I think they kind of build on that a little bit. And I can see them at home division game. I feel like these are the type of games that are always going to come down to the wire a little bit. Going to be a scary one for Pittsburgh going in there. But I'm going to take the Bengals in this game. I don't see 5.5 point home road favorites for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If this was Jake Browning at quarterback, I'd somewhat understand it. But I think that Flacco's going to be able to put up some points with these guys, and he's going to get his receivers involved. And I'm taking the Bengals to win this game on Thursday night. Home upset. I think it should be a fun divisional battle to start the week. It's a Sunday. Los Angeles Rams versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in London, 6:30. 4-2 teams. Two teams not their best performances last week. Jaguars lose to the Seahawks 20-12. Failure to put up points. Wasn't really able to run the football. Travis Etienne only 12 carries for 27 yards, and their offense kind of ran off of the Travis Etienne's bag. And the Los Angeles Rams coming off a very, very disappointing 17-3 win over the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens, who are a team that had been giving up points to everyone, and I expected that Rams explosive offense to go in there and light it up, and that is not what they did. They kind of slogged to a victory. This was a back and forth game at the beginning, kind of back and forth defensive stops. If not for a long 4th down conversion from Matthew Stafford to Kyron Williams on a drive that resulted in a touchdown, I don't know that. I mean, I still believe that I would have had faith they end up winning this game. If Tyler Huntley starts this game for Baltimore, maybe they win this game as well. Like, this game's a little closer, but just not the what you've seen from the Rams in the last few weeks has not been the most inspiring stuff from this Sean McVay-led football team. And I'm not sure if we're going to see Puka Nacua in this game. It's hard to say if he was going to practice this week. I believe he did not practice today, but they're traveling. He didn't participate in practice Wednesday. He's questionable. That's when, this is why you bring in Devontae Adams. You do have a number 1 receiver that can step up, but the absolute presence that Puka Nacua has on that offense cannot be understated. This is a guy that is getting like 10, 12 targets a game. He has 616 receiving yards on the season, 65 targets, 54 receptions through 6 games, and that's like a half of a game this last game, quite honestly. But a game plan without Puka Nacua is a completely different game plan for the Rams. They run so much stuff through him. And is it Devontae that's gonna have to step up and take on that workload? Is it not? Is it gonna be Kyron Williams, the run game, kind of feed off of that a little bit? I'm not sure. And how is Jacksonville gonna respond? How is Trevor Lawrence gonna respond? How is that O-line gonna respond in protecting him, to be honest? Because he was sacked 7 times. I believe he was only sacked 6 times in the whole season before that game. Brian Thomas Jr. had a little bit of a breakout, still a big drop over the middle of the field, but that offensive line graded out pretty poorly. Ezra Cleveland, left guard, graded out as a 48. Anton Harrison, the right tackle, grades out as a 55. Patrick McCarry, right guard, grades out at a 57. Walker Little grades out at a 59. The Seahawks defense was all over these guys, and it's a very good defensive front for the Los Angeles Rams. You got Jared Verse, Braden Fisk. It's going to be another tough test for this Jaguars offense, and this is a game where I genuinely don't know how to feel about this one. I think that if the Jaguars can run the football like they had before, and if they can start to get their weapons involved a little more, and if no Puka, stuff starts to get a little scary for the Los Angeles Rams. But funky week, Liam Cohen taking his team overseas, his first time running an overseas trip. I'm going to take the Rams to win this game. That's a game I can feel like could go either way, though, quite honestly. I'm not too confident in that pick. We'll go Saints-Bears next. The Bears. Let me talk about the Bears. I completely skipped over Monday Night Football. That's on me. The Chicago Bears have won 3 in a row, I believe. What a win that was for them on Monday night. They got screwed by the referees in this game, by far. There's a Rome Odunze touchdown that's taken off the board for I believe it was a legal formation, and then they don't show a replay on that. There was multiple penalties that just completely killed any Bears momentum that was like, are we serious? We're calling that? But the Bears finally figured out the run game. This is something that was a staple of the Ben Johnson offense in Detroit. And they had kind of failed to establish it really in the first 5 weeks of the season. And they finally got it going. DeAndre Swift was 14 carries, 108 yards. He had a long 55-yard touchdown reception off a nice out route on the side of the field. Caleb didn't play his best game, but with your quarterback not having his best stuff, you established the run on the road. Game you were underdogs in, I believe 5-point underdogs, and you came out with a win on primetime. And a game that the Bears don't win in the last few years. They get the ball back. They capitalize on the Jane Daniels fumble. He drops the ball and he's trying to hand the ball up. It's raining. I don't like being in the gun on 3rd and 1, but you get the fumble and you still got to go 40 yards. You got Jake Moody, who's a very shaky kicker, and the run game gets them down that field into a chip shot 38-yarder, and Jake Moody makes the kick. I'm happy for the Bears. Very happy for the Bears. They did this without a big passing attack. The defense stepped up when they needed to. Bill had a really rough game. I thought he fumbled. They pretty much gifted the Bears possession. Jaden has that crucial fumble. This is a game that both teams should have won in different senses, obviously. And the Bears ended up coming out with it and making the plays when they needed to be made. And you gotta give them a lot of credit for that. So on this week for the Saints game for them. This is a game that you can't look over. If you win this game, you're in a great spot looking at 4-2. But the Saints are not a team you can overlook. The Saints are a team that have shown that they're going to fight each and every week. They gave the Patriots some run last week. They had multiple drives to go down and take the lead, down 25-19 that whole fourth quarter. Jawan Johnson has a rough fumble at the start of a drive, and then they have a rough 5-play punt drive at the end of the game. But they're going to be in every game. And this is I don't know if I can see the Bears, if they can put that whole offense together, explosiveness, blowing them out of the water. I'm not sure. But this is not a game that you can overlook with the Ravens coming next week, coming off a bye with Lamar. Definitely not. Home game, some momentum for them, coming off 3 straight wins, and haven't been home for 2 weeks. Beat the Raiders and the Commanders 2 weeks in a row, and some nail biters. If you're a Bears fan, you'd like a stress-free victory. I think the Bears win this game, but I think the Saints keep this close again, quite honestly. We'll go Miami and Cleveland. I believe the Cleveland Browns are 2.5-point favorites in this game. This is an ugly football game. The Browns are favored. Anytime you see this Browns team favored in a game, it's just, I don't really know how to feel. I'm struggling not seeing a Miami victory here, to be honest, just because I think that they have more on offense. that can give the Browns some trouble than the Browns have on offense to give the Dolphins some trouble. Dylan Gabriel, like looking back on it, I believe I say he didn't play horrible. I don't think he played horrible, but there's a lot of just easy missed throws that if you're a starting quarterback in the NFL, you should be making. He also shouldn't be dropping back 52 times. That's pretty rough. Quinshon Judkins, if they want to have a successful game plan, you got to establish Quinshon Judkins a little bit more. Your offense cannot rely on the back of Dylan Gabriel while he's a starting quarterback. You should not be dropping back 52 times. I don't care how much you're down in a game. I mean, they were down 10 points that whole fourth quarter with right away to whatever 6-17. So, but this shouldn't deter you from running the football. That's how you're going to move the ball. Quinshon Judkins is one of the best rookie running backs. He's shown that. And you should just be giving the ball more than 12 times. I don't care if the projection's not there. You have to keep doing that because that's where you're going to have your most success. You're not going to have success forcing Dylan Gabriel to push the ball down the field. He grades out pretty poorly at a 51. Isaiah Bond grades out at a 50. He has yet to really make an impact in the receiving game. 2 receptions, 9 yards, 5 targets. Harold Fannon's been a bright spot, though, 81 yards from last week. They want to hope that he can continue to build on that. And I'm going to say this. I think that if Tua can stay out of the Dolphins' way, I think this is a game the Dolphins should win. Dolphins are coming off a game where they should have beat the Chargers. Like, by far should have beat the Chargers. And Justin Herbert breaks out of a sack, has a hero play, and they lose the game on a walk-off field goal. But that they showed that, like, they're not a horrible football team. They're pretty bad, but they're going to be in games, and they're going to be a little bit competitive. They're not just going to roll over and get dominated, and especially in a game against the Browns. This isn't going to be – I don't expect this to be a super high-scoring football game. I think if you can force Gabriel to make a rookie mistake, if Tua can stay out of his own way against a good Browns defense and just execute your offense, get A-Chain involved, get Jalen Waddle involved, get Darren Waller involved, caught another touchdown last week, I believe. I think the Dolphins are going to win this game. I quite frankly, probably the home factor, the reason the Browns are favored, but the Cleveland Browns is 2.5-point favorites. I just don't quite understand that. So give me the Dolphins in that game. Patriots-Titans. Mike Vrabel's return to Tennessee, and the Titans are the first team to fire their head coach this year. They have interim head coach Mike McCoy firing Brian Callahan, first head coach domino to fall. And it's ugly. It's rough times in Tennessee. I'm sure everyone saw the graphic. In 2022, they trade A.J. Brown, and they fire their GM, and then they fire Mike Vrabel. And then all that leads to now is they don't have a GM and they don't have a coach, and Vrabel's the head coach of the New England Patriots, who are sitting at 4-2 right now at the top of their division. And the Titans have by far the worst roster in the entire NFL. Mike McCoy, I don't know. I mean, a little bit of an interim head coach bump. Teams will come out playing hard for their interim head coach, but I think that the Patriots are going to go in there and make a statement. I mean, they've just taken over the first place thought in the division, and I think Mike Vrabel wants to go in and make a point and say, hey, to these owners, you guys messed up getting rid of me, because look, I was not the problem. On the Titan side, I think it was probably the right call. What you were seeing out there was not competent or sustainable NFL football, NFL offense, NFL roster making. And I think I saw stats the 4th straight time that the number 1 overall pick has had his coach fired, either mid-season or after the first season. And it just sucks. It kind of just shows that, like, the state of a team to be the number 1 overall pick and need to draft a quarterback, a franchise saver, is always going to be pretty rough. And I think it's kind of funny that the Bears in that stat are a team that, like, had an 8-9 roster, and they still ended up having to fire Matt Eberflus last year after the disaster that was put around Caleb Williams. But I'm taking the Patriots in this game. I hope that maybe Mike McCoy just makes things a little, I don't know about if simpler is the word, but try to take some stress off Cam Ward, make it easy for him. Let him just make the plays that we know he can make, but don't overstress to him. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want this season to ruin him. We know that this is not a quality roster around you. We don't want you to build bad tendencies. I think he's the right guy to probably emphasize that to Cam. Up next, the Raiders at the Chiefs. Chiefs are 12.5-point favorites at home. I think this is going to be a massacre, quite frankly. I think the Chiefs have turned a corner. Rashee Rice is practicing this week. He's going to play in the Raiders versus the Raiders. I think that they're going to feed him. Quite frankly, I think that this is a good game for him to come back, a good first game for him. They're going to get him involved right away. It's not like he was hurt. He was ready to play week 1. They want to see this offense at full potential, and I think I think this is going to be pure domination. And sometimes when people think that, it ends up being close. They end up playing them close, but with the way that the Chiefs' defense is starting to really come along recently, they absolutely the Detroit Lions didn't really have much from last week. 30-17, held them to 17 points in Arrowhead. In Arrowhead again. I think that this is going to be an ugly game for Geno Smith, a not fun game for Pete Carroll. They're going to have to rely on Ashton Genty because I don't see Geno navigating this in the pass game, probably throwing another pick or two. I think the Chiefs are going to be explosive. I think having Rice to be that really alpha pass catcher, because Xavier Worthy has all the tools, but I don't see Xavier Worthy being the guy that's going to catch like 5 to 10 balls a game. I just don't think that's really his game. But the ability to have Rashee Rice, that go-to receiver in all settings, get number one receiver involved in the game plan, and then that allows you to have Xavier Worthy take it over the top, is just massive for this team. And I think this is going to be a dominating win, and it's going to be like, oh, the Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC, despite that 3-3 record. Up next, Philadelphia Eagles at the Minnesota Vikings. A pretty much even line, which, quite frankly, when I looked at it, it's just weird to see. Defending champs -135, -1.5 point favorites on the road against Minnesota. I'm not sure who's going to start at quarterback for the Vikings, quite frankly. I think it should be J.J. McCarthy, right? I don't think there's any reason it shouldn't be. He's had 4 weeks at this point. He returned to practice this week. Report that he spent the bye week sharpening his lower body mechanics, but everyone's saying he's a chance to start this week. If he's practicing, I don't see. I don't know if he should. There's no reason Wentz should be playing, right? He's practicing. McCarthy says he wouldn't say his ankle's 100%. If it's up to him, he'd play, but they have to be smart. So does Kevin O'Connell not want to put him out there? I don't know. McCarthy did not have his ankle taped in practice, and Carson Wentz has a shoulder brace on, like on the right on his throwing shoulder. I think you got to put your rookie out there, man. And with that, I would say I'm picking the Eagles. With Carson, I think Carson Wentz gives the Vikings a better chance to win this game because the last we saw from J.J. McCarthy was pretty ugly, to be honest. But I don't know if this is I think this is a good game for the Eagles to play. I don't see the explosiveness in the grit that the Giants had against the Eagles last week coming out with this Vikings team, especially if it's J.J. McCarthy. I think J.J. McCarthy against a Vic Fangio defense is something that the Eagles defense can really capitalize on. And I think they need to be getting back to running the football. Especially this is a game where you're not going to need to go back and forth in the shootout, theoretically. They need to be able to control the line of scrimmage. If they can't control the line of scrimmage, then they have real problems. But this is a Brian Flores defense that's going to bring heat on Jalen Hurts. So when they do drop back, Hurts is going to have to get rid of the ball, and he's going to have to make the right decision because Flores is going to try to trick him. I expect this to be a low-scoring game. And if it's J.J. McCarthy, give me the Eagles to win this football game. I think this line is a bit underestimated as this should be. I think the Eagles are going to win this game. And if it's McCarthy, I think it could be a pretty easy win. I don't know that I see him moving the ball consistently against the NFL defense just quite yet. Panthers-Jets. The Panthers are now 1.5 point favorites. They open as 1.5 point underdogs. Pretty even line again, like that last one. Sitting at -125. I'm taking the Panthers in this game. Quite simply, I can't look at this Jets team and think of them to win a football game at this point. Garrett Wilson's not playing. So if Garrett Wilson is not playing, who is going to move the ball any way down the field for the Jets team? Obviously, you're going to try to run the ball with Breece Hall. You're going to use Justin Fields' legs. But if you don't have Garrett Wilson, who is Justin Fields throwing the ball to? Mason Taylor, solid young rookie tight end. But other than that, I mean, I don't know who is a pass catcher, who is going to threaten down the field against the Panthers. This is the Panthers team that's building some momentum a little bit. 2 straight close wins at home. Getting the fan base is starting. I don't know about believe, but Bryce has put together a few good weeks, putting up 30 points against Dallas. And on the Jets side, this is a dejected fan base that's starting to talk about, is Aaron Glenn the right guy? Should Aaron Glenn be fired? Justin Fields is putting out like horrible quarterback play. I feel confident saying that Tyrod Taylor would put out better quarterback play than we're seeing from Fields right now. Fields graded out as a 51 last week on PFF. Going in his last 4 weeks on PFF, 30 against the Bills, 60 against the Dolphins. Had a good day against Dallas, according to the grades, but I think majority of that came late in the game, graded out to 77. And then 51 against the Denver Broncos. I just think that the Panthers have started to score. They've scored points. Bryce has started to get his guys the ball. Chuba Hubbard's returning, but how can you take the ball out of Rico Dowdle's hands? You can't. I don't care who's coming back. Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard was not putting up that type of production when he was the main running back for the Panthers. You cannot take out a guy, and you cannot, like, you can give Hubbard some carries, but you cannot make it a 50-50 backfield and take carries out of the hands of the guy that has had 200 scrimmage yards in 2 consecutive weeks. You can't do that. That is just, I don't know what type of culture you're installing if that's what you want to do. Like, I get Chuba Hubbard's your guy coming into the season, but you got to ride the hot hand at this point. And eventually, like, if Hubbard starts breaking more runs and Dowdle, the production starts to go away, which you'd have to think it somewhat will, you can go back to more of a 50-50. But you cannot take this guy off the field right now because what he is doing is absolutely special. So give me the Panthers. I don't see any reason why the Panthers should not win that football game. Up next, New York Giants at the Denver Broncos. Denver 7.5-point favorites at home, coming home after the London game against a Giants team that built a lot of momentum last week. It got a lot of people nationally like, this Giants team is fun. And they are. And I think a 7.5-point line in this game is really catching my eye. I think this is a game that the Giants have a chance to win and definitely keep close, to be honest. What they showed last week was a team that is going to give any team in the league fits. And Denver Broncos, obviously, it's a weird London game, but you put up 13 points against this Jets team that is not good. I mean, but I'll give it to Bo Nix. Bo Nix graded out well at 81. Evan Ingram at 81 as well. But you have to be putting up more than that points. And this is a Giants team that's going to run it right down your face, quite frankly. Jackson Darkred's at an 89. That's elite. Cam Scatterboot at a 70. Wandale Robinson at a 70. They're going to score points, and Bo Nix is going to have to not turn the ball over. They're going to have to get the ball to Cortland Sutton, run the ball to J.K. Dobbins, get him they got to get in the end zone, man. They have to score touchdowns. Because, I mean, even looking back at that Eagles game, what a win that was for them. But at halftime, the score was 10-3. And going into the fourth quarter, the score was 17-3. So it's not like this is a surging Broncos offense. They played a great quarter of football in that fourth quarter. But if you look at the last 8 quarters of football from these guys, it's not exactly like they're lighting the world on fire on offense. It's not exactly like Sean Payton's offense is absolutely just starting to pick up full steam. It's not. So I would hope that the Broncos will win this game, but I'm going to pick the Giants this week. I might be wrong on this. I picked the Bengals as 7-point underdogs against the Broncos as well. But as I'm talking through it, I think that if the Giants play like they did last week, there's no team they're going to hang around with a lot of teams. And against a team with a struggling offense, that's the perfect recipe for a second consecutive win and a Brian Daboll victory, and a great recipe for this Giants team to get a road win under their belt. So give me the Giants in that game. Up next, we got the Indianapolis Colts going to LA to face the LA Chargers. Chargers are 2.5-point favorites in this one, wearing their all yellow jerseys. This is a tough one to predict for me. Chargers are favorites, but the Colts are just a good football team, a good all-around football team. And I'd say this is their second real test of the season so far. First one was also out to LA, playing 2 games in SoFi. They end up losing that one. That's the A.D. Mitchell drop ball game. But they competed. That's a game they very much had a chance to win and arguably should have won. And this is a Chargers team that's out of Marion Hampton, out Joe Alt. Quentin Johnson didn't play last week. He looks like he's questionable. Probably on track to play, participating in practice on Wednesday. Derwin James is questionable as well. Joe Alt is listed as questionable. I don't know. From everything I've seen, I don't think he's going to play, but if he does, that'd be a huge boost to the run game. And they got Kamani Vidal step up and finally establish a little bit of a run game last week, which is big for them. But I think I got to lean towards the Colts in this one. I think the Colts coming off a little bit of a disappointing loss, or not even loss. It kind of felt like a loss. They played very close to the Cardinals, a game that they by far could have lost. And I just think that they're going to put it all a little bit more together, and I just think they have more firepower to outlast the Chargers team. I think that Jonathan Taylor's having an offensive player of the year caliber season so far, and I don't think that's debatable. Tyler Warren, his usage has been really impressive from Shane Steichen. And on the Chargers side, I just don't. I think the Colts can get after Herbert a little bit, and if Johnson doesn't play, that eliminates a big play threat. I don't know. With hamstring injuries, you never really want to rush the guy back. He was more of a game time decision last week, but so you'd hope he would recover and be ready for this week. But you never really know with those types of things, to be honest. But I think that if the Colts can run the ball like they have with Jonathan Taylor and rely on that, Daniel Jones makes the play with his arm when he needs to. Michael Pittman checking in there. Alec Pierce. I think this is a game that the Colts are going to win. Commanders Cowboys. I got to say, expect points in this one. Commanders going to Dallas, 1.5-point favorites on the road. And this is the game that the Commanders lose this game. Stuff gets ugly. Stuff could get ugly because you got the Chiefs after that. Chiefs, Seahawks, Lions coming up in the next 3 weeks after that. Just even if they win this game, it's going to be tough for them to stay above 500, in my opinion. So if you do want to keep your playoff hopes alive, this is a game that you got to win. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Commanders at this point. I don't know. With no Terry McLaurin, it's kind of just the offense is in a little bit of a tough spot. They don't really have any big play threats. Their big play was to Luke McCaffrey last week, and that was on a little bit of a fake screen gadget type play. He's questionable with that quad injury, and he's going to return to practice this week, but his status remains uncertain. Debo's sitting at questionable. I still expect Debo to play, but they need a better game from Bill. They need a better game from Jaden Daniels. Otherwise, I mean, we know the thing is we know this Cowboys team can score. That is what we do know about these guys. What we also know is that the defense is pretty bad. So what you want to do is if you can stop this Dallas offense, then you should be in a situation where if you score points, that you're too far away for them to catch up and they're not going to make stops. But if you get into a shootout with this team, and George Pickens is playing as good as any receiver in the NFL, bar probably JSN and Puka, I'd say. He's at over 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's having a stellar year, quite frankly. So this is a really tough spot. I mean, I'm honestly leaning towards the Dallas Cowboys in this game because I think that I don't know I haven't really loved what I've been seeing from this Commanders offense. I didn't love what I saw from it on Monday night. I thought they got lucky in certain situations in the whole game for the Commanders. And I mean, Chris Moore's your leading receiver, 3 for 46. Zach Ertz 6 for 43. Debo's at 4 receptions for 15 yards. 5 targets. If Terry McLaurin plays, that desperately changes things. That gives them that number one guy to rely on to take deep shots to. But if there's no Terry, give me Dallas in this game, and the Commanders go to 3-4. Packers Cardinals, last game of the late window. Green Bay Packers 3-1-1. The Arizona Cardinals sitting at 2-4. Packers are 6.5-point favorites on the road, and I want the Packers to show me what type of team they are. The Packers have underwhelmed me ever since that Commanders game, quite frankly. That was a game that they dominated, and it was like, these guys are arguably the best team in the league. And since then, I don't know where that's been. I've not seen any semblance of the best team in the league from the Packers at all. I don't really know what it is. It's their defense is kind of struggling. They have struggled to get any sort of a pass rush, which is like, in those first 2 weeks, that D-line was so good. That D-line was all over any team that they faced. And you go to a game last week where they faced the Cincinnati Bengals and a team that is one of the worst O-lines in the league, and you accumulate 11 pressures, 1 sack. Oh, no, that's what the Bengals did. You accumulate 16 pressures and 1 sack. And it's like, you couldn't get home against Joe Flacco sitting in the pocket. That's disappointing, and they need to wake up if they want to, because the Lions are the division's wide open. Quite frankly, the Lions lost to the Chiefs last week. They were surging before that. I don't know how to feel about the Packers. They've gone from this team is a consensus Super Bowl contender to what is this team doing? They are not realizing their full potential on both sides of the ball, and I'm not sure Christian Watson is going to be back this week. Looks like he is not going to play. He was ruled out for last week. Looks like he hasn't. I don't think he's going to play this week from everything that I'm seeing right here. Tavion Wicks is questionable, looks like. But I'm taking the Packers in this game. Kyler Murray's listed as questionable too. I'm not sure if we're going to see Jacoby Brissett again, but I mean, quite honestly, Jacoby Brissett looked solid. Jacoby Brissett played a pretty good football game. He put up 27 points against a good Colts defense and kept them in that game and gave them a chance to win it. But I can see the Packers defensive line breaking out this week and shutting down this Cardinals offense and going to a convincing victory. Up next, Atlanta Falcons. I got to talk about Monday night. This is the Atlanta Falcons football team that I have been waiting to see. All these Atlanta games that I watch, and like they have so many weapons. What is going on? They just can't execute. They can't put it all together. They have all these guys, and this was it. I mean, especially in that first half. That first half was scary for any other team because it showed you what this team can be. Michael Penix is overall 20 for 32, but the story of this game was Bijan Robinson and Drake London. Bijan Robinson, 19 carries, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, long of 81 yards. That long, beautiful run that he had, longest run of the season for anyone. Drake London, 10 for 158, 1 touchdown. Should have been 2 touchdowns. He's like half a second from getting in before his foot goes down right for the half. Bijan has 70 yards receiving. The Jeff Ulbrich defense absolutely shut down Josh Allen. Josh Allen looked horrible. Like 15 to 26, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The Falcons defense was dominant. And for any other team that's playing them, like this is a studly defense, and they got after him. They had 28 pressures and 4 sacks. Ulbrich was dialing up the heat, and it was working. I mean, to hold Josh Allen to 180 yards passing, make him throw 2 interceptions is pretty unheard of in these days. Josh Allen's always a guy that's going to keep you in games, maybe have a bad turnover, but he's going to put up points, put up yards. He did not have that on the receiving. And this kind of pointed out, like, the Bills don't have a number one guy. Joshua Palmer, 2 receptions for 60 yards. Khalil Shear was 3 for 33. And after that, I mean, Keon Coleman, 3 receptions, 11 yards. Dawson Knox, 1 for 19 was that touchdown pass. It's kind of exposed a little bit of a weakness for this Bills offense. They don't have a go-to guy when they need to. And the defense was getting worked by the Falcons offense in the first half. It was easy. They go down in 5 plays. Their run game was insanely effective. They're the number 1 outside zone team in the entire league, and the Bills are really bad against the outside zone. And that Drake London touchdown he had where he just holds the ball across the goal line, gets it across, and right before half, they just need 3, and Drake London breaks one. Like, that's a great play. You can't knock him for that. He doesn't end up getting in, but that was special stuff there. And Penix looked good. I mean, towards the end of the game, they had a classic Falcons moment where they arguably almost blew the game. I mean, they're up. I believe there was 2 minutes to go, and they had the ball, and they decide they're passing for some reason. And Penix throws almost what should have been a pick six. The guy drops it, a bailout call, because if he takes that home, who knows? It's a tie game because the Bills were doing nothing on offense, but he drops it. They run the ball, they get the clinching field goal, and that's the game. But just this is the Atlanta Falcons that I want to see every week, and they have a test this week. They're going to San Francisco, back-to-back primetime games, another chance to make a statement on primetime against an absolutely decimated San Francisco defense. No Fred Warner makes this defense a whole lot different. You would think that they're going to be able to have success on the ground without Fred Warner in there, that rock in the middle of the defense. No Nick Bosa to rush the passer. Falcons are underdogs in this game, and I like that line if you want to pick the Falcons. Plus 2.5, plus 115 on the road. Whether it's Mac Jones or whether it's Purdy, they're going to have a tough time back there with the pressure that the Falcons have been able to generate on the quarterback. And I think this is a game the Falcons win. I think Drake London has another big day. I think they can, if they can just rely on Bijan and running that football against a decimated Niners defense, I like the Falcons in that type of matchup. So give me Atlanta to build off a big win at home. That's a big, legit win. That's the first, I'd say, legit win of Michael Penix's career. And you got to love it. You got to love it. Give me Atlanta to win that game. All right, 2 Monday nights. We'll go Bucks Lions, and we'll finish with the big Seahawks preview. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 5.5 point underdogs on the road, going to Detroit. Detroit coming off a very, very disappointing loss. And my question is, who's going to play for Tampa Bay? Emeka Egbuka is expected to miss time. I don't expect to see him out there. Bucky Irving sitting at doubtful. Mike Evans is questionable. Chris Godwin, doubtful. Sam McCollum, questionable. Benjamin Morrison, questionable. Josh Williams, running back, questionable. They need Mike Evans to play in this game. If Mike Evans can't play in this game, Tez Johnson and Sterling Shepard are probably going to be your 2 starting receivers for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Rashad White at running back, so it doesn't seem like they're going to be Bucky. I mean, if Baker Mayfield pulls out a win with that, going to Detroit, it's probably going to be a high-scoring game. Detroit's going to put up points. They're going to come out firing on offense after the disappointment in Kansas City. This is a true chance to make an MVP moment for Baker Mayfield. And I just got to say, I'd be insanely, but like if that happens, I don't even know what I could have to say, because it's hard to even preview this game because I don't know who's going to play a receiver. And is it going to be Tez, and is it really going to be Tez and Sterling Shepard out there as the two starting receivers for a 5-1 football team? Number one in the Bleacher Report power rankings I was checking today. It's crazy what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are doing on offense and what Baker Mayfield is doing with what he's being dealt. I mean, he grades out at 76 against San Francisco, fell a lot higher. Tez Johnson had a great day, only grades out at a 60 with that one catch. But I got to talk about this defense, because this defense is being, all the talk with the Bucs is always about Baker and the offense, but this defense is doing its job, man. I mean, Jamel Dean grades out at an elite 90 last week. Jacob Parrish at an 85. That's that cornerback duo that is locking people down week in, week out. Jacob Parrish has been a stud, an absolute stud, the rookie this year. Kindle Vildor at a 70. Their three cornerbacks are the top three of the top four graded guys on the defense. Vita Vea checking in at a 71 as the third guy. I mean, they are the backbone of this team that Baker Mayfield is leading. I mean, it's obviously the offense. They're scoring points. But the defense is making the timely stops that is helping them win these close back and forth games. So you got to give them the credit too when you're talking about that. I think I'm going to take the Lions just because I don't know about the firepower on offense, but I expect this to be a fun game, a really, really fun one. Monday Night Football, 7 p.m. Pacific time. The Houston Texans travel to Seattle to take on the Seattle Seahawks. The 4-2 Seattle Seahawks, tied at the top of the NFC West. This is a big game. This is a big game for a multitude of reasons, but one for the fact that this is a chance for Mike McDonald to have a big statement home win on national TV. If a win here puts the Seahawks at 5-2, and really people are starting to wake up to the Seahawks nationally, but this will really do it to be like, the Seahawks are legit. And it's no tough task taking on the Houston Texans, who are sitting at 2-3, but this is a playoff team in the last few seasons, a team that I think is kind of similar in some sets to the Seattle Seahawks. This is going to be two good defenses. This is two young defensive-minded coaches in D'Amico Ryans and Mike McDonald. And I think this is going to be a fun back-and-forth football game, because I think that these two defenses are going to make plays. I mean, this is the best defense the Seahawks have faced all year, and a different test for them, because the Niners had a good defense week one, but this is a defense with a great secondary. You got a guy like Derek Stingley that JSN hasn't had a true number one corner shadow him around all game, like I assume Stingley will. Kamari Lassiter is another stud in the secondary for them. They have Jalen Petrie, a young safety. This is it's a very talented defense. Aziz Al-Shaair on the at linebacker, Will Anderson Jr. off the edge is someone you're gonna have to worry about. Daniil Hunter, the two tackles on offense are gonna be in for a tall task this week. And I think this is the game where the Seahawks offense is gonna have to score. The Seahawks offense is gonna have to beat the Texans defense, because I trust the Seahawks defense to shut down this Texans offense, because I trust that this Texans offensive line that has struggled a lot all year, I trust that after what we saw in Jacksonville last week with the defense and the ability to pass rush and how many pressures they have on Trevor Lawrence. The 39 total pressures that they had on Trevor Lawrence, 39. That's a real stat. And it says 11 sacks. They had 7. That includes half, so half sacks. But 39 pressures. If they can do that against this Texans offense, CJ Stroud has shown that he will turn the ball over when he is pressured. And when he's forced to rush things and make play, he will turn the ball over. And I think the Seahawks secondary, them being healthy, is huge in this game. Because if you have a guy like Reek Woolen to match up frame-wise on a guy like Nico Collins, you can't let Nico Collins take over this game. And I think you need a guy like Reek Woolen to be able to guard it. Devin Witherspoon questionable, Reek Woolen questionable, Julian Love questionable. If you get all three of those guys back, I feel really, really good about this football game. Just because if you can rely on the defensive line to show what they showed last week and shut down this running game of Woody Marks and Nick Chubb. I feel pretty good about that, and force CJ Stroud to drop back a lot and get after him early, get after him often, and make him make mistakes and get some turnovers. No turnovers last week, I don't believe. Turn this guy over. He's shown he can. This year, CJ Stroud hasn't necessarily been lit the world on fire. He hasn't necessarily done that since his rookie season, but they're coming off 2 wins, 2 games where the defense played very, very inferior offense. It's the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens. So they haven't seen an offense like the Seahawks. But this is a very, very talented defense. And you cannot let Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter win this game. Charles Cross and Abe Lucas are going to have their hands full on the edges. And Sam Darnold's going to have to get rid of the ball quickly. This is going to be a big, quick game. I expect a lot of the over-the-middle passes to Kupp, a lot of the over-middle passes to JSN, the quick slants to Horton, the little curls from Barner and Arroyo. And I think that suits it well. Get him on the move. Sam Darnold's been the best play-action quarterback in the league, like by all metrics. He's been the number 1 graded PFF quarterback in the league. Grades out at a 94 last week. JSN grades out at a 90. AJ Barner grades out at an 83. He's becoming a very, very good tight end and reliable end zone target, reliable red zone target, a guy you can go to on big downs. He had pretty much had the game-clinching 50-yard reception last week. So, yeah, I feel very, very good. I feel much better going into this game than I did last week against Jacksonville. And I think that even if a guy or two can't go in the secondary, you need to get 1 or 2 of those guys back. If a guy or two can't go, Mike McDonald showed last week his ability to scheme. You have 1 day longer this week. His scheme, when he can scheme up a good game plan against an opposing offensive coordinator, I'd say a struggling offensive coordinator in Houston. I mean, kind of built some momentum in the last few weeks, but this isn't like the best offense in the world that we're seeing. This isn't a Baker Mayfield-led offense. This is a CJ Stroud and rough offensive line with no real run game to rely on. I like our chances in this game with Mike McDonald, and I like our chances with the ability that we've shown to score points on offense. And I do wonder if they can unlock a little something in the run game this week. It's going to be tough, but you'd like to have something there. You'd like to not have it all be on Sam and not have every week be reliant. Like, Sam, you're going to have to win us this game with your arm because we don't have the ability to run the football. But I like the Seahawks to win this game. Looking forward to it, to make a statement on national television. And we'll go to the college side right now. And I got to start with the Washington Huskies. They have another chance to make a statement on the national scene. And what perhaps might be their not last, but it's a big moment here because there's been a lot of steam picking up on social media all over the place about Washington should be ranked. I see Ohio State fans talking about it, fans of the Big Ten talking about it, and the response is they don't have a signature win yet. Their best win's Maryland, but the response to that is they're 5-1. If there was an SEC team that was 5-1, if they didn't beat anyone, if they beat all FCS teams, they'd be ranked. And if there was no preseason rankings, they would be ranked because they're a 5-1 football team. There shouldn't be 2 lost teams ahead of a 5-1 team in the Big Ten. I don't care who it is. And they have an opportunity going into this week to beat Michigan, and you will be ranked if you beat Michigan. And beating Michigan opens up a door where you face in Illinois the week after that, where you have a real shot to have 1 loss going into the Oregon game Thanksgiving weekend and have that be arguably a playoff game. If you win that game, you're going to the college football playoff. And that's what this weekend tells you. And the vibes from UW and Michigan, they cannot be in different places, in more opposites, because Michigan is coming off just a butt kicking that USC served them up last week. USC, West Coast football, put 31 points on Michigan's head last week. Jaden Maiava, 78 graded on PFF. They dominated the Michigan Wolverines. And I got to say that the way they did it, too, was a great recipe for this Washington football team. King Miller, 18 carries, 158 yards, 1 touchdown. You're telling me King Miller, I believe is a former walk-on, was doing that to this Michigan Wolverine defense? Michigan Wolverine team whose identity is usually built on hard-nosed in the trenches, big in the trenches. And you got Jonah Coleman coming into the big house this week at 9 a.m. You think he's not looking at that? Like, yep, this is our time. Mekhi Lemon, 9 receptions, 93 yards, 1 touchdown. We got Denzel Boston coming in to do that same thing. Jacoby Lane had 5 receptions for 35 yards. This Michigan defense was just carved up. And I'd say you arguably have a better offense coming in, better in the skill positions, I would say, better 3 skill position guys. I think Damon's better than Maiva. I think Jonah Colin's better than King Miller. And I mean, Mekhi Lemon's, he's a stud. I put him and Denzel hand in hand. But looking at this grade chart, this is a Michigan defense that graded out horribly. Ernest Hausman, middle linebacker, grades out at a 51. Brandon Hillman, free safety, grades out at a 49. Rod Moore, another safety, grades out at a 50. Another linebacker, Jimmy Rolder, grades out at a 48. A lot of poor grades from this Michigan defense. And if the Huskies can get into a shootout with Bryce Underwood on the other side, a freshman who he has the talent, but he definitely has the arm talent. But I just don't think it's necessarily their year this year. 15-24 last week, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. On the offensive side, he grades out at a 68. All right, but their left guard grades out at a 48. They didn't run the ball great. 14 for 58. All right, Justice Haynes was 10 for 51. That's nothing crazy. The key to the Huskies this week is you can't fall behind. Because that is the thing. If you fall behind in the big house and you let that crowd get that momentum and you're down 10 early and the crowd is rocking, like this is their last chance for a big statement win. If they lose this game 2 in a row to USC and UW, their fans are going to be a little bit, I don't know about in the dumps, but it's going to be disappointing in Ann Arbor. So I think they're getting up for this. The Fox crew is going to be there, which is going to be fun. 9 a.m. kickoff early for them. The vaunted 9 a.m. kickoff for a college team from the West Coast going across the country. I think that this is a game the Huskies can win, and I think people around the country are starting to see that too. I saw multiple predictions today saying it. If you can start fast, which is the thing that they have not done in the last 3 weeks, because they didn't start fast in the Ohio State game, didn't start fast in the Maryland game. First few drives. I mean, in the Rutgers game is a little bit exaggerated because the Rutgers go down in the scores and you get 3. You should get 3 on your next drive and he misses the kick. So then you go down, you're down 10-0. So it's a little bit skewed, but you didn't start fast. If you can start fast and not fall behind in the hole early, I feel really, really good about your chances in this game and to go and make a statement and come out next week 6-1 ranked, hosting a good Illinois team and the best team you're going to face before you face Oregon. It's a huge, huge swing of things for this Husky team this weekend. This game swings a lot of things for how things are going to end up this season. Another game, LSU Vanderbilt on 9 a.m. Saturday. LSU going to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt 2.5-point favorites versus LSU, which is just weird to see. But I gotta say, I like Vandy in this game. Ever since that week 1 loss and LSU started to look bad recently, I've just been waiting for that LSU loss to happen. Could have happened last week against South Carolina. Lenore Sellers had multiple chances to go down and score. Didn't. I think this is the week. I think Vanderbilt wins this game. And I think there's a lot of teams in the SEC that are just like, they seemingly all have 1 loss. I think that they do. And it's like a 2-win SEC team is probably going to get in, but they all can't get in. So who's it going to be? Who's going to separate themselves and win out and finish at one with 1 loss? Just looking at the SEC standings here. Ole Miss is undefeated. Ole Miss and A&M are undefeated. My bad on that. And then you have Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Tennessee, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt, all with 1 loss, sitting at 5-1. Then you have Texas at 4-2. The conference is wide open because I don't know how legit Ole Miss is. I don't know if what I saw last week versus Wazoo makes them the number 5 team in the country, and they got a test. They're going to Georgia this week. So there's very real expectation that this could be the only one undefeated team in the SEC could be the Texas A&M Aggies. And then they go to at LSU next week after this week and at Missouri, which is 2 games that they could lose. And you obviously have Texas to finish the season. The SEC is very wide open and every team has a chance to win it. Quite frankly, who's going to play well in the big moments. I think Vanderbilt beats LSU. Going to the Georgia game. Ole Miss at Georgia. Georgia's 7.5-point favorites. This is a game will tell me a lot about Lane Kiffin. If Lane Kiffin can get his guys up after the disappointment of the Wazoo game last week and win this game in Georgia, this might finally be the year that Ole Miss breaks through and makes the playoff. I don't know that I see it, But also, I don't know that I see it from Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton, I don't know if I'm going to trust him as a 7.5-point favorite to blow out Ole Miss. So I think I'm going to take Ole Miss to keep it close. I don't know that I don't think they're going to win this game. I would be surprised if they win this game. I would love if they won it. It'd be cool for Lane. But I don't know if I see them going into Georgia and winning. I think I see them keeping it close. So they beat them last year in their own place. How are they going to respond this year? And Tennessee at Alabama, the last game of the gauntlet for Alabama, and Tennessee has a chance to redeem itself. Tennessee had one of the more disappointing losses of the season, I believe, in this early season against Georgia at home. And they were underdogs in that game, and they came out hot, and they didn't let themselves fall behind. They end up losing. They should have missed a kick. And since then, they've had games that no one's really watching. They got UAB, Mississippi State, Arkansas. They almost lose to Mississippi. They almost lose to Arkansas. They've underwhelmed the last 2 weeks, but they've kind of slipped under the radar. And they have a chance to really prove them. I haven't watched Joey Aguilar since that week 3 Georgia game. How is he going to respond on the national stage? If you're Josh Heupel and you win this game, you're looking at a really good spot if you win this Alabama game for Tennessee to be kind of the unexpected team no one's really looking at right now, ranked number 11 in the country, but in the SEC, all the other teams getting talked about. If you beat Alabama, you got games against Kentucky, Oklahoma, who's underwhelmed, Florida, and Vanderbilt. That gives you a path to make the college football playoff. All these SEC games, I feel like, could go either way. I mean, Oklahoma's going to South Carolina. They're 5.5-point favorites. But if Mateer plays how he did last week and Lenore Sellers plays with his full potential, that's a game I could see South Carolina winning. You got USC at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's number 13 team in the country with 2 losses, 2 good losses, but it's 2 losses. They're 9.5-point favorites. That's a line I don't really understand. This is a USC team that put up points last week against Michigan. And this is a Notre Dame team that has given up points in their own stadium. I mean, it was a great A&M team, but they gave up 40 points at home to A&M. I could see this being, I don't know, out of the 9.5-point spread, it seems weird to me because it seems like this isn't USC coming off a bad loss. This is USC coming off seemed to turn a corner a little bit, a huge game, and you could knock Notre Dame out of the playoff. If Notre Dame loses this game, you're not getting in the playoff with 3 losses. I don't care that you're Notre Dame. This is their last real test. If they win this game, you'd think they're going to be in because you have Boston College, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, Stanford. It's arguably a playoff game for Notre Dame. I think the atmosphere is going to be fun, but don't underestimate USC in that game. I would say if you're the Fighting Irish, I think that's a sleeper right there. A fun game in the Big 12, Utah at BYU. Utah 3.5-point favorites on the road. I got to say I like Utah in that game. I think that I watched the BYU game against Arizona. That's a game they 1,000% should have lost. They're gifted multiple flags on the goal line. Bear Bachmeier doesn't move me. That offense doesn't really move me. It's not explosive. There's not much. I just think Utah has more explosiveness there. Another SEC game, Missouri at Auburn. Missouri's only a 1.5-point favorite. Auburn's been getting screwed by the rest. Multiple games that they should have won. That Alabama game is, that's the Missouri schedule. My bad. But the Georgia game. I mean, you're an inch away from going up 17-0, and they call a fumble on the goal line. You fumble on the quarterback sneak, and the A&M game, I believe it was that or the Oklahoma game where the guy was coming off the field, like the little trick play that shouldn't have been allowed. They get screwed there. 2 apology letters from the SEC. Got to be tough if you're an Auburn fan, but Missouri's got to bounce back. A game they should have won last week against Alabama. You got to bounce back and get back on your horse because you have the talent. The team's there. Prove to yourself that you're a contender in the SEC. I'm looking forward to that one. But yeah, overall, a lot of good games all around this week, and a lot of absolutely great matchups. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for Saturday. I'm excited for Sunday. I'm really excited for the Husky game Saturday. They have a chance to get themselves on that national map. So that's going to wrap up the show. Again, a reminder, next week's show will be on Tuesday to talk about the Seahawks game. So it won't be out Monday. We'll be out Tuesday morning. Thank you for listening to the show. Give me a follow on social media, Cali Diego on X. If you enjoyed the show, share it with a friend. Give me a follow on Instagram, Diego Cali FB Show. I post a link to the episode every time it comes out on there. And thank you so much. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday.